dead spaces, fallen people, we don't get through it. That said though, I know for me as a student, I learned some stuff alright when we talk about it, when we read about it, when we have feedback. But for me to really get something, it helps to do it, to just walk through the process. And so I'm hopeful that we can do a review in that type of manner today. Okay? Our key vocab that you'll need to know for the test on Monday is all right here. And we'll hit every single one of those points today. And hopefully you'll get a better conceptual idea of how these things work if that's something you're struggling with. Okay? That said, let's see if we can get someone elected. Okay? This is not entirely a role play, none of you will get to run, unfortunately. I've had a few people ask. But hopefully this is something you enjoy. Okay, that said, let's get started. Setting the stage. Everything starts with the platform. Who can tell me what a platform is? You saw that vocab word and somebody said, hey, what's this party's platform? What are they talking about? What are they trying to find out? Brianna.
Some formal statement of basic principles, standards, or major policy matters.
Okay.
Objectives.
Great. Okay, a formal statement of policy matters, objectives, what I believe, right? And on a somewhat different scale, we all have that ourselves, right? Before we even have parties, we have basic beliefs, right? We know, hey, I believe this, or I believe that. I want this to happen, or I don't want that changed, don't go after that, right? For some of us, our personal platforms might still be evolving. I know mine did well through adulthood, it may still be doing so. Okay? But we all, in some way, shape, or form, understand, hey, this is what I believe. Okay? This is what I want. And you will find, over time, that there are people who share similar views. And because of that, these start to form, political parties. Okay? And what's the purpose of a political party? Why would we join one? Why would we form one? Yeah? Well, our two parties do have a lot of control and influence over the government, but how do they get that influence? By convincing people to vote for them. Okay? In a nutshell, in its simplest form, a political party exists to get people elected who agree with the things you believe in. Okay? Your party forms a platform, and presumably the reason an individual would join that party is because that aligns with their beliefs. And they say, hey, let's work together instead of as individuals to try to get like-minded people elected to run our government. So it represents us. And you can think of it like organizing a football team. You might all want to score a touchdown, but if you don't work together, it's not going to be very pretty to watch, right? But if you all get on the same page and say, okay, you do this, and you do that, and you block, and you go deep, and I'm going to chuck it, you get on the same page, you're going to be successful. Okay? That's what a political party does. It takes all the like-minded people with a similar platform, and there's a little variation, and it says, okay, let's form a team and work together to accomplish our goals. Okay? And so that's our starting point today. We are all members of the same party. Okay? And our goal is to get a like-minded individual elected to office to represent us. Okay? Our party will be generic, we will not name it, because I know within this classroom we have diverse beliefs. And some people are like, man, I don't want to even pretend to be a part of that party. There's not enough soap in the world to wash that stink off me. Okay? But we are all, for the sake of imagination, members of the same generic party. So what's the first step in getting someone elected?
Finding a person who wants to elect.
You gotta find someone. Perfect, right? We gotta find a candidate. We gotta find some people out there that are willing to put themselves out there and say, yeah, I guess I can do that job. Okay? And fortunately for us, there always seems to be at least a handful of willing and reasonably qualified people to do that. They'll step up. And so I present to you, and this will be difficult to read, we'll go over it orally, our candidates for the day. Okay, again, kind of generic. We'll go over the qualifications in a second. Okay, so we have 4 candidates for our party who stepped up and said, I would like to be president. Okay, did we just put them on a ballot and say, good luck in November? Why not? Also, what would be the problem with putting 4 candidates of the same party on a November ballot? It's gonna split the ticket, it's gonna split votes, right? That's not working together, that's not being a team, that's 2 people wanting to do this play, 2 people wanting to do that play, 2 people wanting to do that play. You're not gonna be very successful, especially if your competition, the other party, has got 1 person that's gonna gobble up all their votes. If you split yours up, you got no chance, you're non-competitive. So we've gotta narrow this field down, okay? So, how do we go about doing that? The first day of this unit, what did we go over on our little matrix? What did we identify?
Qualifications.
Qualifications, right? And specifically, how they apply to the jobs that the president has to carry out. Because if you don't know what the job is, you don't know what qualifications matter, okay? If you're looking for a good tattoo artist, you're gonna need a different set of qualifications than if you're looking for a good brain surgeon, okay? No one cares if your brain surgeon can draw a dolphin. Okay, that's cool, but can you keep me alive? You know, have you been to medical school? You know, but then if you're looking for a good, hard-working welder, you maybe don't care if they've been to medical school. You have to know the jobs. So, a real quick rundown. 8 jobs of the president. What are they? Just give them one by one to me.
Chief, Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief. Next one.
Chief of state.
Chief of state. Next one.
Chief Executive.
Chief executive. Did you have one, Nate?
Chief or citizen or whatever.
Okay. So we'll do chief executive One
Chief
second.
citizen.
and chief citizen.
Chief diplomat.
Chief diplomat.
Party chief.
Chief of party. Two more.
Chief
Chief
legislator.
Chief legislator.
And chief administrator.
And chief administrator. Okay, good. We know the names. And that's good enough to probably get you some points on a test. But do we know what each job does? Commander-in-chief, what's the responsibility? Head the military. Okay, great. Chief of state. Job description.
Reigns and rules, question.
That's why we review.
Reigns and rules.
What?
Reigns and rules over the state.
Okay, rules over the state. Think of it, actually, probably a better definition of it would be, is the ceremonial representative of our country to the world. Think of the Queen of England, okay? There's not a ton of power attached to that, but when the world looks at England, they think, oh, Queen of England, that's the representative, okay? You know, so the president does that. Most countries in the world, most people understand, understand who the president is. And his qualities and characteristics reflect to the world the character of our nation. That's how they see it, okay? Chief executive, what's that role? Executive power. Okay. What is the executive power? Do we know? What does that give them the authority to do? What? You can veto laws, that's actually part of the legislator.
I didn't really give a very good definition, it kind of just had like little phrases.
Okay. That's right, that's what it is. With the executive power, essentially 2 things you can do. You can do executive orders. You might see this in case of a natural disaster, they need to respond quickly, where, you know, hey, let's respond to this hurricane, doesn't have time to go, you know, through Congress and stuff like that. You need to be able to act and respond fast, right? The other thing you get, executive agreements. These involve other nations, and so this could kind of be seen as part of chief diplomat as well. Okay, think of this as like a less binding treaty. Okay, the Iran nuclear deal is an executive agreement, okay, that our current president, you know, signed. Okay, chief citizen, what do?
Represents all of us.
Okay, they represent all of us. Okay, think of it as kind of like the role model for, you know, our standard bearer, as people who we look to, who in theory we would want them to be someone we'd aspire to be like. What?
Selected peer.
Yeah, kinda like that. And also, you know, be one of the people, you know? Our government, for the people, by the people, you know? Is our president someone who's representing our interests? Okay, chief diplomat, what is that job? Think diplomacy. Who do you deal with?
That's, those other countries, we make good other countries.
Other countries, right? What's our relationship gonna be like in the world? Are we gonna have friendly relations with this nation, or is there gonna be a lot of tension? If there is tension, how do we respond? Are we aggressive, or will we try to negotiate through things? Okay, what is our relationship with the world gonna be like? Okay, chief of party, what's the job? What?
The head of the political party.
Head of the political party, okay? They kind of represent the ideals of that party. Whoever we select is gonna represent our ideals, okay? Ideally, they unify the party, as opposed to having a divisive effect. We want them to be able to make our team stronger, okay? Like our head coach. Chief legislator. What would that have to do? What?
Public policy.
Public policy, okay? Promoting our platform. You know, is this person going to promote what we believe in, our ideals, okay? Not necessarily the ideals of other parties, but us as a group. You know, and if they are successful enough to win, they're gonna take the country in that direction. Okay? And then finally, chief administrator. Okay, the head of government. As of the writing of our textbook, we have 2.7 million federal employees, so a lot of delegation, a lot of appointments. Okay, need organizational skills to be able to keep track of what's going on. And I would be willing to venture a guess that since our textbook was written a decade ago, the number is probably bigger than 2.7 million. Now, our government tends to get a little bit bigger as opposed to shrinking. Okay, so let's meet our candidates. We know the job. We have an idea personally of what our requirements might be for that individual. And Blake's requirements for a candidate that he likes might be different than Michael's, okay? And it's not right or wrong, but that's why we vote. And that's why when we vote, we don't get a clear consensus all the time. So, candidate A is from Texas. This candidate is 77 years old. Served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1976 to 1977. Remember, that's a 2-year term for that. He lost in 77, but came back in 79 to serve in that same position until 1985. He also came back in 1997 and has held that same office to the present day. Before his political career, he was a surgeon in the Air Force, so he is both a doctor and someone who has military experience. He is a fantastic speaker. His supporters rapidly follow him. Okay? He has a great ability to inspire people with his words and ideas. He has been a member of our party from childhood up until 1987, where he then switched parties. But he came back to us in 1996 and has been one of us ever since. Okay? And during that gap, in 1987 to 96, he ran for president as a libertarian. Okay, so what are some strengths? What are some things, according to those job qualifications, that we might like about this person? Or even if we don't, that a person would. Okay, good speaker. Okay, that might apply to head of state, chief citizen. Okay, Brittany.
Brian,
Yeah.
he served in the military.
Served in the military. Okay, we like the military experience. And I knew that. I just, those cameras going.
It's okay.
So it was there. So, all right. He served in the military. Okay. Anything else?
He has political experience.
Political experience? For some, that's a bonus. We're in kind of an anti-establishment cycle, but a lot of elections that's seen as more of a bonus than the mood of our political climate seems to be today. Okay, so that's definitely a possible plus.
He knows how to run a campaign.
Knows how to run a campaign. He's been through this before, right? Okay, what are some potential drawbacks? Things that people might say is concerning to them. Yeah,
His age.
his age, right? We've never elected a president this old before. Yeah.
Switch parties.
Switch parties. Is he gonna be loyal to our platform, or is he just saying what he needs to say to get elected? And then he's gonna stab us in the back. So maybe there's some trust issues there. What else? Anything else? Okay, that's good. Candidate B is from Pennsylvania. He is 54 years old. He's a Catholic and very open about his faith. He was a U.S. Senator from 1995 to 2007. During that time, he got a lot of bipartisan legislation passed, meaning he worked with the other side to get things accomplished. Before his political career, he was an attorney. And one potential drawback there was a little bit of a, scandal's too strong a word, but there was a K Street issue several years ago that had to do with lobbying and money in Washington, and he was never criminally implicated with anything, but people always get suspicious with lobbyists and money and things like that, and when his name came up in loose association, you know, some people saw that as a red flag. Okay, so what are good and bad things about this one? Potentially. You as a voter don't have to agree, but what positive things could you say about this person, you know, as far as qualifications go?
Not too old.
Not too old, right? Okay, maybe he's vibrant, got energy, looks like he's got stamina to do the job. Okay, what else?
He works well with others.
He works well with others, okay? For some, that's a plus, you know, hey, he can accomplish things to get things done. For others, they might be like, you know, we don't like to compromise, right? You can see that multiple ways. Okay, but that's absolutely applies to it. Okay, what else?
He worked in government.
He's worked in the government, right? Okay, and maybe part of the reason he's successful in getting legislation passed is because his background as attorney, he knows the law and how laws work and how to write them so that they're effective, right? Maybe someone has a good idea for a law, but if they don't know how law works, they don't know how to write a bill in a way that it's gonna pass, because, you know, if you don't word it right, it's not gonna work right. Okay? Possible drawbacks. You know?
Scandal.
Yeah, okay? Anytime your name even touches something like that, you know, there's potential for people to be worried about it, even if there's nothing really bad there. Okay? Some people might see this as bad. Some people see that as really good. You know, we didn't have a Catholic president though until Kennedy. We were by and large a Protestant nation. And it's weird to think about it, but there are still pockets of individuals where this would be maybe potentially concerning to them. You know, we have a lot of people that would think that's great though too. Okay? Diversity in our population. You know? Candidate C, from Texas, he is 62 years old. As a child, he was into scouting, achieved the rank of Eagle Scout, so you feel like there's some character vouching with that. Joined the military, he was a pilot, achieved the rank of captain. After that, he became a cotton farmer, working on his family's cotton farm. He is also very openly religious, but Protestant. 1984 through 1990, he was a member of the Texas House of Representatives, but he achieved that for the other party. Okay? In 1990 though, he switches to our party, so he's been a member of our party for quite some time, and he becomes the agricultural commissioner. From 1998 to 2000, he's the lieutenant governor of Texas, at which time the governor of Texas becomes president, and then he goes on to become the longest serving governor in Texas history. Okay? Drawbacks. He is not an eloquent speaker, and he has a habit of sometimes saying things that then he has to go back and walk back, because they don't come off the way he intended, or whatever. Okay. So, potential good things you might see about this person.
Military.
Military, right? A lot of people like that. What else?
Yeah.
Scout, right? I wanna vote for someone who I think is just a good person. And that too, a lot of people would speak to that. Okay, what else?
He's not too old.
Not too old. Okay? What else?
Farmer.
Farmer, right? He maybe understands like issues that apply to real Americans. You know, he can relate to stuff. He's not one of these people that was raised from childhood to be like this political person. He's a real guy, right? Okay. And there's other strengths, okay? He's the only person up here that's got executive experience. Other people got experience in government, but he's the only one that's ever run a state, which is a little bit more similar to running a country than being a senator that deals with laws. Okay, drawbacks.
Bad speaker.
Bad speaker.
And he used to be for the other party.
And he used to be for the other party, so you might question allegiance. I mean, sometimes people genuinely shift. I know that as I've gotten older, my political beliefs change and evolve, they probably still are. You know, I'm sure that some of yours may do that. You know, some of you may be totally locked in, and that's cool too, okay? But there's definitely room to question that, you know? Is he really on board with our platform as much as we'd like him to be? Okay, final candidate, candidate D. She is from Minnesota, 56 years old, also openly Protestant, graduated from law school, so she understands the law. She has dual citizenship with Switzerland. She's never lived there though. Her father moved to Switzerland after she was all grown up, gained his citizenship, and due to Swiss law, she automatically got dual citizenship. So she is a citizen of the world. Okay? Before her career in public office, she and her husband ran a Christian counseling practice, with her husband having a medical background and her having a legal background. She served in the state senate from 2001 to 2007, and as of when I was taking this data, she was in the House of Representatives from 2007 to present. If you want to go real present, she actually finished in 2015. Okay, potential strengths you might see in there. Things that would be appealing to some people. Dual citizenship, okay? Maybe she like understands world affairs because she's got connections outside of this country. Someone can make that argument for sure. What else?
Age.
What? Age, okay? Yeah, we don't like it when people are too old, or at least insinuating, right? Kind of discriminatory, but it happens, right? And so, it's reality. Okay, what else? Law school, okay, so she understands how the law works, and she's got experience implementing it. You know, for some people, this could be a plus or a minus, it definitely works out. What are maybe some potential drawbacks?
The dual citizen can also be a drawback.
That could also be a drawback. They have no military experience, so for some people that might be a concern. This could go both ways. Some people, I wanna vote for the first female president, that's really exciting. And you know, in some ways that really is, because the breaking through the last ceiling. You know, but other people have got concerns about that too. You know, my dad, I don't know if I can vote for a woman, I don't wanna go to war once a month. Like, that sounds super ignorant, but there are people out there that think things like that, and base their votes off things like that, right? It happens, it is sad to say, you know, some people can literally hold that against us. So, okay. So, we have our candidates. How do we decide which one becomes our nominee? What is the process that we go through?
We pick.
We pick, and how do we pick?
Very
We vote. We are called, what's the vocab word?
What?
Primaries. We have presidential primaries. And specifically in presidential primaries, there are two forms that we can vote. The first is just a primary election. The second, and let me refresh this, is in a caucus. Who can tell me the difference between a primary and a caucus?
Caucus is where they have like, the public there, and they just switch them around.
What you do is you get together as the public, you will, each state is slightly different, but you'll get together by district, and some people just show up and drop a ballot in, but most of the people that show up, they get together and they kind of discuss it. You know, is the candidate I'm planning on voting for viable? Do they have enough support to win? Or maybe if they don't, but this other one's doing good, should I switch to my second favorite? So that, because I wanna keep this person out. Okay? In the end, you still end up voting. When we vote, what we're trying to do is assign delegates. The delegate is the individual who will go to the national convention and who will ultimately cast their vote for the candidate. And if you have enough delegates, which in the Republican Party is 1,235, in the Democratic primary it's over 2,000, I forget the exact number. Boom, then you become the nominee. And so if at any point during the primary process you hit that magic number, boom, that's the point where you clinch. Okay? States have different ways of issuing delegates out. Some will issue them out in a winner-take-all fashion, which means whoever gets the most percentage of votes gets all the delegates. There are not a lot of states like that anymore. They're just automatically, I think it's 11. You have proportional representation. If you get 60% of the vote and I get 40% of the vote, then you get 60% of the delegates and I get 40% of the delegates. We split them up. Okay? And then you have a third way, and Nevada is this way, where there's a trigger mechanism. So if you've got 4 or 5 candidates splitting it up, you're gonna delegate them proportionally, according to the percentage. But if you have a candidate that gets 50% or more of the vote, then it triggers that switch to winner take all. And if you get that over 50%, you get all. Okay, so with that in mind, let us get our little clickers cards out. And we're gonna have us a good old fashioned election to narrow this down.
Oh, yeah.
So we start with this side of the classroom. This side of the classroom is Iowa. Iowa, you are a caucus state. You award 30 delegates and you award it proportionally. Okay, since you're a caucus state, you get 15 seconds to talk about which one of those, A, B, C, or D, you'd like to vote for. And then at the end, you get to vote for it, okay? Take your 15 seconds and caucus. So you see, you're kind of getting on the same page. Maybe somebody switched their vote, maybe they haven't. All right, let's hold our cards up and let's vote. Finger, Spencer, the rip. Might have a hard time reading your voltage to the glare, so. Oh. Alina will be our uninformed voter, she's having a hard time seeing the board. One day when our smart board gets in here, help figure, we'll alleviate that. Someday. Okay, so our election results in Iowa, our caucus results. We ended up with 10 votes for A and 2 votes for C. Because we need to award that proportionally, don't critique the math here. 80%, 24 delegates are going to candidate A. 6 are going to candidate C, B and D get squadoosh. But they live to fight another day. So we move on to New Hampshire. Great state of New Hampshire over here. Live free or die, right? So, you are a primary state, which means you don't get to talk to each other, you just show up and vote. You award 23 delegates proportionally. So let's see what New Hampshire feels like they would like to win the primary and represent their party's platform. Finger Austin, then read. There we go. Finger Nate. There we go, got it. We see here, A gets 2, B gets 1, C gets 9. Okay, there's no trigger mechanism in New Hampshire, so 9 is about 90%, so we'll say C is gonna get 18. A is gonna get, we'll say 3, and we'll give 2 then. Okay, Kennedy is struggling, but you know what? Maybe a different part of the country, different political leagues, maybe I'll do better in a different state. You see who crushed in Iowa, didn't do so well in New Hampshire. And so there's still hope. As we move on to the great state of South Carolina. South Carolina, you are a primary state, which means you don't talk to each other, you just show up and vote. And you award 50 delegates proportionally. Tell us who you'd like to win. You do not have to vote the way you did in Iowa, because you are now South Carolinians. Doesn't like the glare on there, Brianna. There we go, got it. There we go. Results from South Carolina come pouring in. Ooh, pretty even, proportionally. So we're gonna split up 50, we'll say 20, 20, 6, and 4. Hey, candidate D's on the board. Candidate D's going to their campaign. Look, I'm not doing so good, but I'm picking up steam. We're heading the right direction.
Oh, darn
Right.
cases.
This isn't from this year. Oh, you're saying that was Casey's question. It
Yeah.
kind of was. So, some of us were hoping it was right. Okay, then we go on to, and this is the actual correct order. Nevada is the 4th state. And Nevada is a caucus state, and awards 30 delegates with a trigger mechanism in place. So, great state of Nevada, which you truly are, home to me. Caucus for 15 seconds amongst yourselves, decide who you have to vote for.
What is trigger mechanism?
Trigger mechanism means if a candidate gets over 50%, it goes from being proportional to winner take all.
Okay.
It changes.
C.
C.
Alright, you guys have talked amongst yourselves, you guys maybe changed some people's minds, or had to listen to some really opinionated people. Caucuses are interesting to show up to. Okay? So, but now you're ready to vote. Let's see who you got. Finger, Michael. There we go. Got it. And C wins by a large margin. And because we have a trigger mechanism and we're over 50%, who gets those 30 delegates, every single one? C. Good day for C. Then we move on, if this was actually happening, and I can't recreate this, would come Super Tuesday, and you have many states voting on that. The biggest of them, though, is Texas, with 155 delegates. Texas also has a trigger mechanism in place, and they are a straight primary. So, let us vote. Oh, hold on. by now, candidate D has given up all hope. So candidate D is like, I can't anymore. I miss my kids, it's pointless, getting my butt kicked every single state. So you have one drop out, okay? Now we're primarying in Texas.
This one.
Oh, who do you have? A? Okay, so we'll add one to A. So A's got 7, B and C have 5 between them. So this is a big day for A. Because not only does he win the state, but he gets every single delegate. Okay? In a closer contest, you're gonna split those up proportionally. Okay, you hit 155. Big day. Tough hit. Candidate B, what's he thinking about now? Dude, it's just not gonna happen for me, right? So we start narrowing down the field.
But then he endorses candidate C.
Ooh, nice. I wasn't even gonna get into that, but that happens sometimes. I'm gonna quit, but if you liked me, jump over to this guy, cause he's the one I like. And sometimes they will, they'll follow who the guy they like tells them to like when they drop out. Nice observation, Levi, good job. Okay, we'll do last one, cause I think you guys have more or less got the idea. And Florida, caucus state awards 99 delegates proportionally, no trigger mechanism in place. Okay, so caucus, think we're on your side? Your caucus has found its little leader, people listen to it, tell me who to vote for today. Weird, some people don't like that, tell me who to vote for.
I don't know, it depends on the big thing.
Alright, so we have caucus.
Already.
There you go. And we have by a landslide C, getting all the votes, which would never happen in real life. But, so they get all 99. Proportionally though, understand, because proportional is a vocab word that will show up. Had other people gotten votes, they would have gotten delegates in that case. Okay, and so we start to add this stuff up, and you go on and on and on, and you keep going until someone hits their magic number. Okay? And sometimes that can happen very early on in a primary. The party coalesces and gets behind someone and says, this is our guy. Other times this can be a brutal battle that goes clear to the convention, leaving hurt feelings between different sides, leaving the party split and fractured. Man, I really like this guy, and I really don't like that guy. And yeah, they agree on our platform, but gosh, I just don't like him. Okay, and so you've got to heal your party in that case. And that's part of the purpose of the convention. But sometimes you may need to go the extra mile and do stuff with the VP pick. Okay, so moving on to the VP pick. Let's pretend, just couldn't overcome Texas, candidate A wins. Okay, we move on to selecting a vice president. Now what are the formal jobs of a vice president? What does a vice president do formally? He presides over the Senate, right? And as he presides over the Senate, doesn't even show up all the time, but when he does, if there's a tie, he can cast the tie-breaking vote. Okay. What is the other main job, formal job? Yes?
He, says if the president's disabled.
Yeah, to help determine if the president's disabled, and if the president is disabled or killed, there's presidential secession, right? Goes to the vice president, and then theoretically, because of the Secession Act of 1947, which we should also mention, because it shows up, you have a chain after him that goes to the Speaker of the House, the President pro tempore, Secretary of State. We've never had to go that far down, but it's good to know that, if something happens to both President and Vice President, there's a plan. Okay? So those are the formal jobs of the VP. Informally though, and arguably the most important thing, what does the VP really help with? Or are they supposed to really help with? This is an informal job. Think of where we're at right now. We've just got our nominee. What?
Support the candidate.
Support the candidate. And specifically, we want to help them get elected by expanding the electorate, okay? We don't want to pick somebody who's just like our candidate already, because people that love our candidate already are already going to vote for him, right? But what we wanna do is we wanna be able to reach out to people who aren't so sure about our candidate, to get them on board, okay? It's almost like a work reference. I just don't know about this person, but if somebody I really know and trust vouches for that person, that might get me more on board with them, right? Okay, and so our VP candidate, we do something that's called balancing the ticket, okay? Where we try to identify deficiencies and weaknesses and to find a candidate that fills those with their strengths, okay? And there are three basic ways you can select a VP, three strategies. You have an August VP, a November VP, or January VP. An August VP is for, man, we just had this brutal knockdown drag-out fight and our party is fractured, okay? And so our vice presidential candidate, we're gonna pick them with August in mind because we gotta heal our party. Because if we don't heal our party and bring us back together, we're not gonna get the support and enthusiasm that we need to run an effective campaign all the way through to November. So we need someone that's gonna help us now, okay? So if you had that situation, and this person lost, but the people that supported candidate C are all ticked about it, you might think about doing what they did in 1980, where they picked George Herbert Walker Bush to be Reagan's VP, even though they didn't get along all that well. Because all the Bush supporters were gonna follow him, okay? You might pick an August VP in that case. Mike Pence is pretty much an August VP. Okay? So you help her resolve these concerns. If, however, your primary is short and sweet and your party's pretty much behind a guy and you don't have to worry about that, then you can turn to November. What are my opponent's weaknesses? Where can we capitalize there? Where can we attract voters? Can I pick someone who's gonna get me a swing state? Maybe a Tim Kaine from Virginia to help put that in the win column for me. Okay, so we pick those, we balance the ticket according to those needs. And so let's look at this, candidate A. What were some of the weaknesses of candidate A? Who won? Age. So what might we look for as a qualification in a VP to balance that out? Younger, okay? So our job qualifications for VP, we want a younger person. What else? We switched parties, we got some concerns about party allegiance. We want somebody that's like really got great credentials as being on our platform.
Yes.
Yeah, right? So they're credentialed on our platform. Okay, we trust, this guy shares our values 100%, we know it. Okay? What other things maybe? He has experience in office, but it's all legislative branch, right? Okay, so maybe we might look for somebody who's been a governor before. Okay, somebody with executive experience. And we come up with a list of qualifications in our Who Does, somebody that balances us out, that can be appealing to other people that we don't already appeal to. And then we present them, say, hey, this is our guy, you know, or girl, you know. If for some chance, this could be a selling point there, okay? In 2008, when President Barack Obama beat Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primaries, a lot of people saw opportunity to maybe attract women voters who had hard feelings about how that primary went down. You know, it's not a coincidence that, you know, Sarah Palin was selected, and it's not to say that she wasn't qualified in other ways. I know people that have very differing opinions on her, then this isn't about that. But practically, that was a balanced ticket aspect as well. Hey, look, we can maybe attract some voters over this way because of that. She fills that requirement. Okay, so you get your qualifications, you figure out how to balance it, you find your person, you select them. Okay, the next step, national convention. Time to get us enthusiastic. What's a national convention? How does that work? Did anybody watch any of the national convention this year? Brittany did. What is that like? 4 days of what?
Each day had a different theme, like, as what they were gonna do, but, I only watched the Republican one, cause I don't care about the Democratic, but,
That's fair. Some people do. Some
Yeah.
people watch both, some people watch one or the other, some watch neither.
it was a waste of my time, but I know for the Republican one, each day they had different people speaking, and then on the last day, they had the nominee come out.
And so, yeah, the last day, the delegates show up, we formally select our nominee for both president and vice president. So we take that, the results of our primaries, and make it official. But other than that, what we're really trying to do is generate enthusiasm, help bring our party together, get us excited. And like Brittany said, a lot of times they'll choose themes, talk about, look, this is how great we are, this is what's wrong with them, this is how we're gonna fix things, you know? Or if you're the party in power, we've been doing an awesome job, don't leave them, and we're gonna keep going in the right direction, right? Whatever it is, whatever your message, you're building enthusiasm, trying to get support, so people will go out there and run a hard campaign for you so you can win. Okay, that's it. And you will get all sorts of different speakers. You'll get established people who are already almost celebrities within the party. You know, people with names and faces that everybody recognizes. It's a good opportunity to launch new people into the national spotlight. Hey, this person's a member of our party, and they're a mayor of this little town, but they're doing an awesome job, and they've got a big, bright future. Let's give them a speaking position, introduce them to the country. You'll get celebrities talking, okay? People that are enthusiastic, like, dude, I love that guy. You know, they'll come out there, and they'll be like, okay, I'm gonna come out here, and I'm gonna talk to this chair for 20 minutes. You know, which actually happened. And if you are a member of that party, you're probably like, that was the coolest speech ever, I love that. And if you're a member of the other party, you're probably like, dude, did that old guy just talk to that chair for 20 minutes? What is going on? Right? But you're building enthusiasm, you're building support. So you can run a great, successful campaign to carry you through November. Okay, we're running a little short on time. Other things you need to know. When we reviewed yesterday with the Electoral College, understand, when we vote, we're not voting directly. Okay, we're voting for electors. We have pledged to vote in accordance with what our vote is. Okay, when you see Donald Trump on the ticket, you're actually, that's shorthand for the electors that have pledged to vote for him. You see Hillary Clinton on a ticket, or Gary Johnson, you're actually voting for the electors that have pledged to vote for them. Okay, we'll finish this a little bit. Actually, hold up, one quick assignment over the weekend. In your packets,